In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice that this meeting has been provided by advertisement in the Clerk of Cape May, Star and Wade, and has been posted on the bulletin board at Township Hall.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Conrad. Here. Councilmember Neville.
Here.
Councilmember Douglas.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Clark.
Here.
Mayor Dack.
Here. Okay, we have some, before we get to the work session, we have a few presentations, which are always good things. And in particular, this one, the Firefighter of the Year. And I'm going to ask Billy Howard to step forward. It's from a VFW post 5343. He is the commander. He's my commander since I'm a member. And he can take the floor here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Council. At this time, I'd like to ask the Talbank firemen all to come up. What up, guys?
Don't be
Firemen that are present, please come up.
You look great. Get them on TV.
Yep.
Yes, TV.
For the past several years, the local VFW post has been doing, actually it's throughout the state, we've been doing various things, Teacher of the Year, Firefighter of the Year, and everything. This year, very good distinction, the firefighter from the township also made the district, which is the top firefighter in the county, out of all the fire companies in the county. So we've been lucky enough. Last year, as you know, our person went up to be number 3rd in the state. Unfortunately, this year, because of everything that happened with Sandy up the road, all the top prizes went up the road. But it still doesn't show anything less for the dedication and devotion that these people do on a day in, day out basis without asking for a dime. This year, our recipient is Deacon Fashaw. Please come up. And the plaque reads, presented to Deacon Fashaw, VFW Post 5343, VFW District 17, Firefighter of the Year, 2012. Thank you for the service to your community. Also with that, it's some goodies for you. So hopefully you, your wife, and all can go out and have a nice dinner or something on both the post and the district. Luke, you have any words you want to say? Chief? Deacon? Where's all yours?
It comes with a speech, Deacon, so start it. All right, dig in.
Thank you again, Bill. I appreciate it. Mayor, Council, Solicitor. I would be nothing without the guys you see behind me right there, my commanding staff. Like Bill said, we do this for free. We do it for a long time. We appreciate the township for acknowledging us and the VFW post. Again, like I said, that's what we do.
Well put. Your contributions are noble. I appreciate everything that the fire companies do. And they picked the right guy. Do the rest of them want to come up and get a little TV time, or are they going to stand back here?
We'll do a
you
little
want like
bit.
a group photo for the papers or anything like that? It's up to you guys. I mean, take advantage of this, guys.
Come on up, guys. Oh, come on.
Come on, you're not wanted anywhere. You can get in the paper. All right. I like the shirts too, guys. You look good. A lot of young guys in here too. That's even better. All right. Oh, there are exceptions to every rule. There's a few. Just take your time. We'll help you over there. Smile it up, guys. Well done, guys. Kelly, I thank you for your help.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor.
That's, you know, I attend a reorg in January, and that's one of the nicest nights of the year with these guys. So thank you, and thank you to your families, because the sacrifice is family-wide, not just for the individual. You know, when that siren goes off, I know we all think the same thing. You know, thank God they're there. So appreciate it. Okay, moving down, we now have the kayakers. Mark Lavelle, if I'm reading correctly, Kayak Club of Lower Township. And he's going to explain to us about this organization. And how long have you had it, Mark?
9 months.
9 months, okay. It's your floor, go right ahead.
3 years ago, I started a kayak rally and fundraise down here in North Cape May and Town Bank, and it was a free event, and it was just an excuse to get all the locals out on the water. We started with 8 participants. One was a canoeist. The second year, we had 12 people involved. 6 of them were repeaters, and last year, everybody showed up. We had 22 single kayaks and 4 tandems. We had 30 people in the race. So it was a great turnout. So as a result of the race, there were 2 women that were first-time participants, and they went online to check to see if there were any paddling clubs this far south. And they really weren't. And we decided that we'd start a kind of a grassroots group. So the interesting thing about this club is there are no membership dues, there are no bylaws, and there are no club officers. We do everything by email. That's the only requirement that we have, is that you give us an email address, and when we have a paddle or event, we'll send out a group email giving place, date, and time. And also we have a website called the Kayaking Club of Lower Township. We did come up with a logo for the club, and we had some decals made up that are waterproof that we put on our boats and also on our transport vehicles. And this is what it looks like. It's a horseshoe crab with 2 cross paddles, and we simply call ourselves the Kayak Club of Lower Township. I had some flyers I'm going to give to council. These are photographs, some of the photographs we took last year. So they said the race is 1.2 miles. It starts at the end of Ferry Road and Beach Drive in North Cape May at 1 o'clock. And this year is going to be on Saturday, June 26th. The race is one length, about 1.2 miles up the beachfront to the Hobie Cat sailboats in Town Bank. We'll have trophies for the winners. After the race, we just turn around and leisurely paddle back to the start. We have an award ceremony, a group picture, and then we're going to picnic on the beach. And last year, we were open to any questions that the general public had about the sport of kayaking.
Mark, did you say the Saturday?
Yeah.
That's 29th.
29? Mark, is that with or against the tide? It doesn't matter. It does matter.
No, we paddled, last year we lucked out, so we were in between tides. So the race usually takes about 20 minutes to a half hour to complete. And last year the weather was absolutely perfect. And we had a lot of spectators on the beach. And that's what we're kind of hoping for again this year. For those of you who don't kayak, this is some of the things that we we encounter. This is a sunset on the bay. That's me coming in after sunset.
Yeah, yeah.
And also, I was a past Commodore of the Corinthian Yacht Club, and the yacht clubs have what they call burgees, which are pennants or flags that represent their club. So this is our burgee.
That's pretty cool.
So the decals, the only cost to the club members, if they want, is the decal, the burgee, and I did have some T-shirts made up this year. So let's see. Yes, that covers pretty much. We presently have. We've only been in effect now for 9 months. We currently, as of tonight, we just got another email address. We have 44 people who have expressed interest in participating, and the demographics range from late 20s to early 70s. I just turned 61, and we have a number of members who are in their 40s and 50s, so it's a great group. And the whole reason for forming the group was there are a lot of individual kayakers who don't have people to paddle with, to buddy up with, and this way it's kind of a networking club. So once we've had about 12 paddles since last July, and we average about 5 or 6 kayaks per paddle. There's so much water down here, and the paddles the kayaks are fairly lightweight. They can be transported, and you can drive an hour from here and paddle on a lake, a stream, creek, river. And we primarily paddle the Delaware Bay, Cape May Harbor, the salt marsh between or what we call the back bay between the Garden State Parkway and the Barrier Islands. So, but it's a fun group, and we've had a lot of interest. And last year we actually had more participants than the Nature Center had for their Paddle of a Purpose. So the mayor had asked what we would request from council as far as our group is concerned. Well, we're pretty self-sufficient, and the only things, a couple things that I've come up with is I would like to, if the council would put our event on their website as a way of announcing that it's going to be held this year. We don't have many young people, so I was wondering if we could get maybe the rec department involved with, I don't know if they could help out at the event or get the...
Yeah, well, tell us what you need. We'll be glad to cooperate in any way we can.
Okay. And I would like this was kind of a vision that I had 3 years ago, and I would kind of like to see it really become a community event for Lower, to bring everybody down. And
it's a great idea.
Yeah.
It combines everything. You know, we're closely akin to the water here. We have a great relationship, and we're right here in the bay. You know, it's a healthy exercise. I've been doing it for 10 years. You find that hard to believe. I'm sure everybody's gasping out there and saying, if he can do it, we can do it. Oh yeah? I'd like to see you out there.
Well, a week and a half ago, I was the only kayaker out by the entrance to the canal, and I paddled with a pod of dolphins, 6 dolphins,
Absolutely.
for about 15 minutes.
It's almost spiritual.
Yeah.
I agree with you. There's nothing like taking a couple diet sodas, going out there at sunset, and coasting out there and watching. It's kind of neat to be out there as the sun dips, because you turn around and what do you see? You see all the people looking out at you, looking at the sunset. It's like, you're looking behind you or whatever. But I go out there. I was out about 2 weeks ago. I went up towards the marshland, up towards where the airplanes come out up at Paramount. We had just talked about that with the shells that are up there. And you go places that you can't take a boat. It's fantastic.
You only need about 6 inches to float a kayak.
Mike has glued his cell phone to the side of my kayak, so he took all the fun out of it. And while you're there, I've already given you a copy, I believe, on this, but we have World Oceans Day, June 8th, which is our good friends, the Lenape. And this will happen on June 8th, 2013. And they will be coming out of Higby Beach with a paddle and boat parade. And we had reached out to them earlier, and you certainly are invited to this. If any of your members, I think you have the information. We'll be announcing this to the public as also as a favor to the Lenape. I had a fabulous time with them last year on World Oceans Day. And I hope to be there again with them this year in the kayak. And if anybody on council that has the courage, I have extra kayaks if you wish to come out and join me. Don't put your heads down. Get out there, okay? Mark, anything else?
No.
Fantastic. Great organization. Great presentation. Go ahead, Jimmy. Go ahead, Jimmy.
I'll be there. I'm on his list already.
Yeah.
He's the young guy. Okay, that takes us to the National Boat Safety Week, May 18th to 24th, and a person we know well, Lois. You can come up and introduce your...
Good evening, Mayor Beck,
Good evening.
members of council, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having us here this evening. My name is Lois Grimes. I am the Public Affairs Officer for Flotilla 86 of Lower Township. The gentlemen who are here with me this evening that are going to tell you more about boating safety have worn and do wear many hats in their flotilla. They have given countless hours of volunteer time to their community, assisting the United States Coast Guard in their operations and service to their country in the overall part of homeland security. And Jim Kite, our commander, is going to tell you something more about boating safety.
Good evening, folks. My name is Jim Kite. I'm the commander of Lower Township's Coast Guard Flotilla, which is the second largest in our division. We have one over in Cape May that claims to be a little larger. But I also like to introduce Lou Hahn, who's the vice commander and past commander. Lou was this year named as the Trayson, that's the training center at Cape May, Auxiliarist of the Year. And back there in the back seat is another past commander, Ed Gillespie, who is currently serving as our staff officer for public education. He's going to have just a couple of words for you, too. But I'm here to talk about Safe Boating Week, which is May 18th through the 26th or 27th. And it's real important to Lower Township. The Great Seal of the township denotes the fact that that boating is a big part, and the fishing industry is a big part of this community. During Boat Safety Week, there are a number of reasons that we're here tonight, because in talking to Lower Township, because this is the area in this township where most of the marinas in this end of the county are. A lot of people drive into town and think they're in Cape May, but as you know, they're not. They're here in Lower Township. Also, Lower Township is the home of one of the largest commercial fishing fleets in the United States. We have a great deal to do with those too. And the other thing that Lower Township's important in its relation to boating safety is that we're the summer home of many tourists and visitors who do boat and fish and take personal watercraft onto our waters in this area. So I wanted the township to be aware of the kinds of things we do to promote boating safety that we do all year long, but we're going to especially emphasize during this week of boating safety. And those are that we provide boating safety courses, which are required by the state police in the state of New Jersey. We teach those a number of times a year. The next one is on May the 25th at Price Hall. Ed Gillespie will be up in a couple of minutes to tell you about the future courses and a little bit about the course. We provide free vessel examinations to any recreational boater. What we do is point out the seaworthiness of the boat. We look at the safety equipment that's both required and recommended by the Coast Guard that each boat have. If you pass that inspection, you get a little sticker. If you don't, you do get a paper that shows you what you need to meet the safety requirements. If we do it, it's just advisory. If the Coast Guard does it, if they happen to board you, or the state police happens to board a vessel in the area, then there's a fine attached to it. So we're kind of pushing the boaters to get that safety exam from us. That's free. Another thing that we do, we have members that visit all the marinas in the township and all the marine dealers, and they leave literature, boating safety supplies, and make themselves available to answer questions on boating safety. And finally, one of the important things we do is we provide safety patrols, both on Coast Guard vessels and on our own vessels, where we go out and, if we see a safety violation, we gently remind the boat operator that he's in the, or he or she's in the wrong, and give them a chance to correct those. If the state police does that, or the Coast Guard does that, it can be costly. Also, in the area of inspections, we do have one member of our staff who's trained to inspect commercial fishing vessels, and he's very busy doing that, as you can imagine. We have to import some people from the Philadelphia area to help us with that. So that's basically all I have to say. I just wanted to let you know that we're here. We've been in Lower Township for 50 years. It'll be October, we'll be here 50 years. We currently meet at the Presbyterian Church in Price Hall, and invite any interested boaters or public that would like to join to come see us. We're there every fourth Thursday night. Excuse me, Wednesday night. So we thank you for your time, and I'd like to introduce Ed Gillespie.
Again, thank you for having us, Mike and council, folks. I want you to just take a look at the headline right here. This is from Friday's press. Life jacket might have saved the lost sea tow captain's life. And it's a very simple thing. We teach a course on safety. And one of the biggest chapters in there is on PFDs, personal flotation devices. He didn't have his on. You ever see the Coast Guard go out? Any of you, when you're out on the water, you see the Coast Guard going out? They are dressed to the nines with their flotation devices. In the winter, they have other devices that will keep them warm and afloat. The captain on that boat, he has an EPIRB. If something goes wrong, the whole boat is going to be saved. This man would have been saved because they were at the scene of the accident in 7 minutes. And the personal flotation device is probably as orange or brighter than the jacket that you have on there. Very easy to be seen by the air. So we would appreciate it when you're out boating to put on your PFDs. We also have classes May 25th and June 1st coming up. And Mike, I understand, I just heard from the gentleman with the kayaks that you do have a website where, if you don't mind, you can put those on for us.
Go for it.
We are the Lower Township Flotilla. And like I say, we also offer anybody that wants to join. You don't have to be a boater. You don't have to be a male. You can be a female. We have all kinds of openings for you. Please join us the fourth Wednesday of the month. and good voting to everybody, and 1 week is not enough for voting safety. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. A very important and timely topic, and we certainly will put you on the website. The lady with the vest on over the orange over there is the one you see about that, I think. All right, we move down now. Thank you, Lois. I know you're back here somewhere. My eyes are starting to go a little bit. And we now move to the work session. The Township Elementary Education Foundation will be on 5/20. That's postponed until May 20th. And we go now to BPU Representative Gary Finger. Mr. Finger, we're going to get you out of here, so come on up, sir. Tell us all about this.
Mayor, thank you very much for inviting me down today. My name is Gary Finger. I'm the Business Ombudsman of the Board of Public Utilities. I wear hats of the BPU as well as the Office of Clean Energy. And I say that because I want to commend the leadership in Lower Township for recognizing that there's programs available to help cut the cost of your facilities, which has an impact upon stabilizing your tax rates. You've taken that step. I know there's some additional inquiries going forward, and I commend you for doing that. I'm not going to make a big speech other than to say that the energy market was deregulated in 1999. The idea was that since New Jersey produces very little of its own energy through the utility companies, they purchase their electric from outside for the most part. They bring it from usually coal-producing plants because it's cheap from West Virginia or Pennsylvania. Gas companies are starting to have a bigger impact because we can generate some power for that. The idea was that people would get on board with the idea of, I can buy my power now from somebody else. I can go to a third-party energy supplier, and I can cut the cost of the supply portion of my bill. And I use that word supply portion. It's just particularly important. I speak to senior groups all the time. There seems to be a little bit of confusion on their utility bills and what they can and cannot do. They will always pay the transmission portion or the distribution portion of the bill. And you look at that as the roadway. Those roads will always be in place. They have to pay for that. It doesn't matter what type of trucks travel those roads, if it's FedEx, if it's UPS, if it's anybody's truck. That becomes the supply portion. But people have been reluctant to do that, and we've only had about a 9% participation rate. By that I mean, in the state of New Jersey, from the residential side, it's only 9% of the people in the state of New Jersey which have taken advantage of trying to get lower rates. Commercial side, it's probably a little bit higher, it's about 21%. In 2003, the legislature passed another bill, which is a government aggregation measure, which allows government entities to now look at their communities as a whole and say, what can we do to provide better rates to our communities? Because you can get a better rate, obviously, the larger you are, as opposed to an individual basis, which is why usually commercial entities do better than residential. Again, this has been a slow process. This has been very slow on the uptake. Frankly, the first town that has taken advantage of this newer legislation, was Plumstead this past January. They did an energy aggregation, which is to take all the community members that they have, go out to bid for the electric portion of the bills. And they got bids on this, which cut their energy costs noticeably. So it's a tremendous opportunity. So what this act essentially will do, by resolution, if you choose to go forward with this, or by resolutions, by ordinance, you will indicate that you want to move forward with going forward the Energy Aggregation Act. You will contract, either you do it yourself and designate yourself as the aggregator, or you will hire a consultant. They will put together a package. And part of that package is working with the utility companies, in your case, it's electric. They will identify all the residents that are eligible and businesses that are eligible to participate in this program. You will go out to bid for the third-party supplier. And there's two ways you can do that. But certainly the idea is still going to be the same. They're looking at all the community members that you have, all the residents, and saying, based upon this population of 2,000, 3,000, whatever it may be, this is the rate we can supply to you. So the way the law is written, residents are automatically part of this program. However, they can opt out, meaning once they're notified that this is what you have agreed to do, this is what the new rate is going to be, if you do that method first, they can say, I don't want to participate with that. And they're automatically out. If they are part of a third-party supplier already, if they're one of that 9% that has already participated, they're automatically out of it. Commercial entities are not part of this unless they opt in. So they would have to sign on, they would look at the rate and say, yes, that's worthwhile, I want to participate with this program. The key to this program is transparency. Notifying people as to what your intentions are. The municipality gets nothing out of this. You become really more of the leader putting something together for the benefit of the community. You get no fees. Any fees that are initially put out of your pocket, such as hiring a consultant, all that does come back to you. And if you do it on your own, if it's your administrative cost, all of that comes back to you. The third-party supplier, whoever bids on it, will reimburse you for that. So there's no out-of-pocket expense. But at the same time, there's no profit that you make from this either. This is a benefit that you're giving to the residents of Lower Township. We've looked at some communities that have bonded together with more than one community. That certainly is an option as well. Yes, sir.
The 9% that are actually going out and found a third party, when their deal is up at the end of their contract, then they can opt into the township one.
They can opt in at any time.
I think it's better deal. Good.
And I have to circle back. I think part of the reluctance that people have had to participate with third-party suppliers is the vast amount of misinformation that's out there. I think probably every one of you up on council, everyone in this room has probably received at least one phone call from third-party. Right. I get them too. They're annoying as can be. And there's a lot of, they give you information that you're not sure, is it real or is it not real? Here's a gift card, I'm going to give you something that's free. Nothing is free. If they're giving you a gift card, I guarantee you, they're going to get it at the back end. I've had commercial entities call me, say, I signed up for this, I thought it was a great deal. After 30 days, all of a sudden, I'm paying more. That's where working as a unified body can be a huge benefit, because all those games go out the window. You're going to get bids coming back to you saying, this is the best price that I can possibly get. You can agree to it or not agree to it. So it's a huge opportunity. There's really no way to game the system. This is why it's something that we're getting more inquiries about all the time. As I said, Plumstead Township recently did it, and they did it with much success. So that's the program in a nutshell. What I have left you is pretty much, there's two guides. One's a very clear-cut, step-by-step guide. The other's a more formal PowerPoint presentation, which covers up a little bit more toward the tail end for energy efficiency items as well. The only other option that you have, and I don't see this really coming up too often, as a government body, you would have the ability to specify if you wanted to have a portion of the energy to be supplied by renewable sources. You can elect to have wind turbine power coming in. However, you cannot, whatever the ultimate number that is quoted, cannot exceed what your residents are currently paying. I don't see that generally happening. What we're seeing so far, and even with the inquiries, is people want to get the cheapest rate possible. If they want to do renewables, they can always do that on their own. It's called clean power choice.
Can I ask a quick question, Gary? The people that are like the brokers, the people in between, are they licensed, regulated?
They have to be licensed through the Board of Public Utilities.
I mean, you know, if we sign up with a company and they go kaput or something, I'm just trying to see, is there anything that besides the bid process itself, and you want the lowest rate, obviously, but you want a quality broker. And while you're here, I'd like to know if anybody's had any problems in relationship to something like that.
If we have severe problems, we would have the ability to cut them loose, get them out of the program, take away their license. So they are licensed, they are reviewed. We do track comments that we get from all the agents that are dealing in the state right now. They generally are pretty quick to correct it. As a matter of fact, within the past, I want to say 60 days, our board president, Hannah, recently passed a new board measure which is going to be scrutinizing third-party suppliers and how they handle telemarketing. So that's something we will also be cracking down on.
Good.
Not too much of that.
Yes, Mr. Finger, my wife even asked me this question because we've had 100 phone calls and we've had the letters. And we enjoy Atlantic City Electric, the service they provide. So I'm going to clear the air. A lot of people are concerned if they go with whoever they sign up with or if they wait for a municipality to do it. How does that affect Atlantic City Electric?
Not at all. If your power goes out, you're going to call Atlantic City Electric and not ABC Power Supply.
Good.
If you have an electrical question, you're going to call Atlantic City Electric. That is your primary
So
source.
they'll provide for everybody the primary service. If there's any issues, this is just the energy being supplied through the wires from out of town.
Your bill will still come from Atlantic City Electric.
So I understand there's 109 providers that provide
There's
this.
only 109 providers. That list is updated on a regular basis. That was the latest information.
So basically, the average homeowner, if he does nothing and the town picks a provider, they'll just see a lower bill on average.
That's correct. That's correct. I mean, everybody's notified. They have to be notified by law that this is what the program is, this is what the new rate is going to be. They have 30 days to say, I'm not interested, I'm going to opt out. If they choose not to do nothing, they're part of the program. But certainly that can be reviewed, I'm sure, on a periodic basis if somebody feels that there's a problem. We haven't heard that as yet. We don't see that that's going to be a problem. The commercial entities, they would have to opt in. So if they feel that this is a better deal, they want to be a part of it. So, but they have to verbally tell you that they'll sign a contract to be part of the program.
Gary, if the township decides to aggregate and a broker is engaged, the broker goes out to RFPs with various suppliers, comes back to us, are we able at that point to say, no, we don't want to accept any of these?
Yes, you can.
Okay, we're not obliged.
Oh, and the BPU also does a review process. Once you're ready to go out for contract, you must submit that contract to the BPU. We review it as well as Rate Council. And just so you know, the agencies, Rate Council is really the consumer advocate for the state. So anything that goes through the Board of Public Utilities also is reviewed by Rate Council. However, the only comments that I read from Plumstead Township, both parties were in agreement that they wanted to make sure the transparency was there. I said, doing letters, you have to do it by law. I think having public meetings is advisable. Posting information on your website is probably advisable. You've always got pockets of people who feel that they don't have enough information. So this is very transparent. And again, the residents are the ones who would benefit from these programs.
The contract that you speak of, how long is that contract? Is it a yearly contract, 6 months? Or?
Usually you're going to do them for a year because the reason that a third-party supplier can get better rates, they're buying the energy on an open market, so they can buy it in a different manner as opposed to the large utility companies. They buy it on an annual auction. It's a 3-year rotating, but their rates are set. So they don't have the flexibility that a third-party supplier does. So that's why you see some price differences.
You also mentioned there was 2 ways of contracting?
There's 2 ways of contracting. What you can go out and select it assuming you use a consultant. You can select a third-party supplier by RFP. You can get a rate and tell all the residents this is what your new rate is going to be. You have 30 days to opt out. You can also notify the residents first. This is what we're considering doing. We're not going to sign a contract until everybody gets on board and they understand that first. There's a little bit more work doing it the second way. There's a little bit more time lag. And that's just really a question of which one you're more comfortable with. Both options are explained on the packets that I left for you all. You know, again, you want to keep this a very open process, but there certainly is an opportunity to gain. And when you do an RFP in this type of manner, like I said, there are no games. They can't do gift cards. They can't do the 1 month, 30-day promotional rate of 7.99 cents per kilowatt hour. They can't do that. So they're going to get a flat rate when it comes back, and that's what you get for that.
Mayor, Margaret and I met with Mr. Finger for about 45 minutes before the meeting, and Margaret's done a good job researching, has a pretty good handle to make a recommendation at a later date.
Okay. Is there any other council questions or comments?
No, I'm really glad you came and explained it, you know, because I've been listening to it, and what seems like it can be too good to be true, but it's there. It's a big savings for the community.
Well, unfortunately, what seems to be too good to be true is a lot of the marketing ploys that third-party suppliers put out to the residents, and particularly seniors, they're the most vulnerable. That's what we're trying to stop. So we encourage this type of a program, just because you do have other set of eyes that are looking at this, and you're really protecting the rights of the residents, and that's what you want to do, cut their costs. You know, what kind of a savings can you yield? It's going to vary, it depends on the market conditions, but I would certainly think you're going to get a minimum of 10%. I've seen some numbers, when they do reverse auctions, they can go into the 20s percentage. So there's some potential.
Sounds good. Any other questions from council? We'll have John, you have a question. Would you step up and identify yourself real quick so we can let you go, Gary. If somebody has a question, I'd rather have them ask now.
My question is this available for natural gas?
Yes.
So gas and electric?
It's gas and electric. However, what we have seen certainly more recently, is you're not going to find very much competition with the gas. The gas rates are very, very reasonable, very low. They're going to be getting lower, most likely, only because of what's coming in from the Marcellus Shell. So the competition really is electric, because they're not producing it, so they're buying it. Utility companies really don't care if you switch them on. They're not really losing money.
Right.
They make their money on the wires, on the road, the distribution. They're not really making it on the commodity itself.
Okay.
Gas companies, those rates are very good to begin with, and they're going to be stable for quite a long time. You know, that becomes another program we start talking to people about, that if you haven't switched to electric, if you have the ability, switch. You're going to have some savings. If you have the ability to use anything that has to do with gas, be a combined heat and power. I know Mike's probably more aware of that when you can do CHP facilities, or even if you start looking at municipal vehicles, where you can use compressed natural gas to run those vehicles. Wonderful opportunities there as well as grants.
That's a good question, John.
Yeah.
Is there funding available from BPU if we were to convert some vehicles?
No. However, they can work through Clean Cities Coalition. As a matter of fact, my town of Voorhees recently picked up 3 trash trucks. They got a federal grant. They got that through Clean Cities. So they're able to pick up 3 trash trucks, which are now CNG, and they're as happy as can be, because the the equivalent cost of compressed natural gas is about $1.75 to $2 a gallon, compared to where you're currently paying now for diesel.
How about future construction if we went with geothermal or that type of stuff?
We have incentives now for geothermal.
You do?
Through our clean energy division? Absolutely.
Okay, we'll talk about that in the future. Thank you.
Okay. We appreciate that. You know, it's all good information, and Margaret, you can guide us with this. In fact, she's coming up to grab the microphone right now.
Thanks for coming down.
Thank you for coming down. Appreciate it. Would you want to talk briefly on this, Margaret, before you go into the... You need a microphone? You don't have to stand.
Okay.
Is that mic on?
Yes, I have.
Okay, that's good.
Yes.
I
yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. When I first heard about it, I wasn't really familiar with it. And it is very confusing, like Mike said, and everybody's gotten the same phone calls. But I really believe that if this is done correctly and the transparency and the outreach, I think that it will really be very successful for the Lower Township residents. And having that back of not having us having any kind of benefit from it, I think is going to really just show that you're just doing it for the residents. And I know personally, I think it would be nice to know that you would have the township behind whatever distributor that you decide to use. You would know that we went through all the hoops. It wouldn't just be one person making those decisions. You'd know that it was a collaborative effort. So I think it would help.
Would you? I'm just curious. Gary had talked about the two different ways of doing it, and one is to do it, and the other one is to run, I would assume, a mailing campaign.
Well, there's a really specific criteria that has to happen if we do enter into this, and I think that the bidding process, as far as the selecting the consultant that would do that outreach, we would do an RFP, which is a request for proposals, and be really specific in the criteria that we want for the township to have, and then we would listen to potential vendors that would come in, and then once we selected that consultant, which I believe would be the best way to go, because I'm not, I wouldn't know all the ins and outs of it, so I do think that it would be beneficial.
Margaret's done a lot of research on behalf and has talked to the people of Plumstead Township that's had a very successful results, and she's learning really how to do this properly so we get the best results for our residents. The other thing, Council, is that if indeed, and I know you'll want to do this because you like to keep the people informed, is that all the letters that we produce that go out to all the residents letting them know you're thinking about this will be fully refunded by the successful provider.
Well, that's one way of doing it, right? The other way is not to send letters, is that correct?
You still have to send a letter.
You still have to send a letter after you pick the company. Okay.
But you can do it before you pick it also.
You can, that's the difference between the two, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, it's kind of redundant in a certain way. I mean, especially, it's up to council as far as that goes. I mean, if we send out a letter after I assume, does council, because you want to move forward?
Having the public informed.
Beforehand?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Whatever council wants to do, it's up to them.
With that, once that letter goes out saying the rate, we've already entered into the contract, correct?
That's the option
So
you choose, yes.
that's.
Oh, okay, well then that's not,
So
the letter goes out after you've entered into the contract.
Right.
And then we'd have to probably do that in advance. Does everybody on council, do we have a consensus to move forward with this?
I think an actual government program that saves money instead of costs money.
Right.
Yes.
There you go, that's a good one. Jimmy?
Oh, yeah.
Glenn? Norris? Okay, so we will do that.
And I do have a model, the boilerplate from Plumstead. They're gonna, he's got a couple of recommendations that he thinks that we should include because it was such a smooth transition for them. So I'm sure he has some.
I'm sure we'll have a few people that just say they don't want to be involved in anything, as far as that. So we'll just have to endure that. Okay. Well, then we'll schedule that at some point. We're going to move into, we're going to go to
I just want to ask the question per kilowatt hour, the charge.
Wait a second, we're getting way off base on this. We have something going on here now. We're going to have a presentation by Margaret in relationship to contracts. That's why she's here. Go ahead, Mark.
I just wanted to kind of go over my role as the purchasing agent, and I know that we've got some upcoming projects and trying to encourage some of the local residents and contractors to maybe participate a little bit more in our bidding process and getting some work throughout the township. First of all, I want to explain that everything that I do is driven by the local public contracts law. It's a division of the local government services. We also have the New Jersey Administrative Code. So there's strict rules and regulations that I have to abide by. There's an encumbrance system, so everything has to be approved by the CFO, the manager, and myself. It's always a fair process. When we do decide that we have to bid something out, we've got to, or we have any kind of a purchase, there's a couple of different tiers. So if one vendor may not be in a position to do any of the larger projects, there may be an opportunity for them to be able to do something smaller if that fits their needs. The bidding process, as far as we're concerned, we have a quote limit of up to $2,000. We don't need a second quote from. But any vendor that does do business with the township is required to have a New Jersey Business Registration Certificate. And what that is, it's a free application that has to go through the Treasury of the state of New Jersey. And then it's a very quick turnaround. I've gotten it in less than an hour if I call them up and say I'm waiting to do business with a vendor. But that contractor has to be willing to fill the paperwork out and submit it to the state. Once that's done, it's a free process again, and it's once they have it in their hand, they're pretty much set. There have been occasions that it gets revoked. Pretty much the only reason that the state wants to find out who's doing business in the state of New Jersey, so that they can, for whatever reason, either sales tax or whatever. So that's their role for doing it. We don't pay sales tax. We have nothing to do with it, but I know that it's a requirement. So in order to keep it consistent, we require everybody to have one, and it is an easy process.
And what's that called again, that license?
A business registration certificate. So you can
The
have it.
BRC, is that the one we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, it's a BRC.
And how much does that cost?
That's free.
That's free, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't cost. And then the bid threshold, because I am a purchasing agent, is $36,000. Anything from like $17,500 to $36,000 has to be done by the website. We put it on the website, but it's pretty much the same process as a quote. The only difference is it has to be awarded by council by a resolution. Anything over $36,000 has to be a sealed bid, advertised in a local newspaper or our legal newspaper, and then it's open publicly, and it's again awarded by by mayor and council. There is when we do some of the larger projects, and with the sealed bid process, there are some bonds, and I wanted to clarify the differences in the bonds. Excuse me. We have larger projects going on. Anything over $100,000 project, we have to have a consent of surety, which is, in fact, it's a performance bond. What that does is that protects the township, so that if a contractor defaults on a project, that we can finish the project, and we will go against a bond company, and then they would pay to have it done. I've gotten a little bit of research on that, as far as I know I need it. I never knew how much it was going to be, and that sort of thing. But apparently, the cost, there is a cost involved. It's about 5% of the minimum of the project cost. Is about 5%, depending on if it's a dangerous project, which normally we wouldn't enter into. But it's pretty much 5% of the cost of the job. The bond.
That's just for the insurance. That's basically the insurance that the job will get done.
That's what they pay for the insurance company to get a performance.
So if you had a $2 million project, you have $100,000 built in,
yes,
just to ensure that it gets done.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
And
that just gets erased. That's, I mean, assuming that you have, and of course, we could go back to some projects that we've had,
yes,
and I'm not going to bring them up, and it's crossing. But it's one of these deals where you're glad that you do have that to back you up. There's a reason why these policies are put there, but that is significant. I didn't realize it was that high.
But what I did learn through this process is that once a contractor does go for a bonding, there's a criteria again involved where they'll need the financials of the company, they need a credit score, experience, an equipment listing to make sure that they can do that project. Because if you enter into a project of a large project, any kind of building, these people are guaranteeing that you're going to finish that work, and they're going to guarantee it based on who you have as your subs and make sure that you have the assets in place that you could carry that payroll, material equipment, or, that you have to start a job, because we do pay down. We pay after things are done. We don't prepay. So you have to have a financially secure contractor that could actually do that, especially with the larger contracts. So the consent to surety and the performance bond, it's a crucial protection for the township, and it is a law. So it's not like we have much of an option on that. But once they do have it, it is easier for them to get recurring bonds. The beginning process probably takes about 3 to 4 weeks. Then once they have an established relationship with the insurance company, they can just call and say, I'm bidding on a job, and then it does turn around a little quicker. The bid bond that's required, that's pretty much making sure that they're going to guarantee to go into a contract. So, but you can just have a cashier's check of 10% of the job, or up to $20,000 in cash, or up to $20,000. But that's another insurance policy that they're going to enter into the contract that they're bidding on. You don't want to go through the whole process and then award it to somebody and then have them say, no, I'm not going to, I made a mistake, or, and then there's also affirmative action certificates, and we do have the equal opportunity claim compliance, and there's mandatory language in each one of our bids. And then we do get audited by the state. We just had that done not too long ago. But then we also have a public works contractor certificate, which there is a fee involved with that. And that's anytime they do business, anytime that they do work on a township building, you need to have the public works contractor's license. The prevailing wage rate is $14,187. So if we have a project over $14,187, which is an odd amount, I don't know where they got it from, but if they go over that amount, then that project has to be based on prevailing wage. Now that prevailing wage is a union scale. It does not mean that we have to have a union shop. They have to pay. They have to base it on a union scale. So it does keep the playing field even, because otherwise you might have somebody paying their employees $10 an hour, $12 an hour, not giving them any kind of cash benefit. So it does benefit there. But there are a lot of things involved with the bidding process. But like I said, all of these things that I've just mentioned are not required for some of the smaller projects that we have. We have a landscaping contracts that through planning or through construction, that we have a list that we rotate out on for cleanups and things like that. So it can go from any kind of repairs, plumbing. We don't have that much of one thing that goes wrong that we bid everything out. So if I had a list of people that I could, qualified bidders that I could call on, it would make my life a whole lot easier, and it would really help the local community. But I haven't had that outreach, so this is good that I can try to get those bidders in to help them with that process, which I've been willing to do. It's just a matter of making sure that they follow up with what they need to have taken care of.
Do we well, first of all, can we put we put the contracts online, I would assume, when we have available contract?
Only when it's the larger ones.
Only the larger ones?
Yeah.
That fit into the bidding process is what you're saying, right?
Well, even the smaller ones. I mean, you've got a bit, my quote limit is 17.5. So if we've got, we have local departments that are getting quotes on anything from $2,000 to $17,500. Well, I'm not going to get that until they've already done, gotten those prices. So if we could get a pool of people that they could reach out to, or maybe we could, if I knew a lot more of the projects that were going on, I could assist them in that regard. But
so what you're asking here is, correct me, and the reason we brought you here is anybody who is a contractor or does any kind of work within Lower Township to get in touch with you.
Yes.
Okay? Yeah. To come in here and help us help you. Mm-hmm. I mean, like I've said countless times, you've stood on your head trying to award contracts to local people. But we don't make the rules. I mean, the state does, and we have to abide by them, or we could end up getting the township fined. So we have to obey them. And if you want the laws changed, go see the assembly people, the senator, what have you. But until they get changed, we have to obey them. So, you know, that being said, you presented the different levels and what we're responsible to do is we hit those checkpoints. But the key is, if somebody doesn't let us know that they're working in a township, if they don't tell you that they're a registered contractor, a registered concrete, whatever, we don't know. And we want to reach out to you and any time we can, that we have something that we're available.
And I've assisted like countless people. I mean, I do encourage that. I like to have them, you know, I've sat with them and, you know, worked through it, so.
And there's a level at which almost it becomes cost prohibitive for some of the local people to be involved in that kind of a building.
The larger ones.
Because even the fact that you've got to, you know, getting the surety bond, things like that, and the equipment needed, it just kind of sets up a block that you can't surpass. And some of the rules are there. I mean, we ran into it, like we said with Bennett's Crossing, that thing over there where we ended up inside that bond. And it's to protect the residents.
You're talking $2 million, that's a lot of taxpayer money.
It
So
is.
$100,000 may seem like a lot, but if we're looking at the potential of
Protection.
losing that $2 million, you know, it is all relative, so it is something that protects us.
No, I think you do a wonderful job, and I got me. We're trying to get this out so the media has copies, but the bid thresholds, there's nothing we can do. If we just need people to come in and offer to be vendors. Some of the smaller projects, let Margaret know you want to do them.
Yeah, and again, it's
That's
the
it.
compliance and the minimal requirement for any vendor that does work. And that means anybody that even takes one of our classes for $30, they have to have a business registration certificate. We don't have a grace, you know, any kind of exception to it unless it's a written exception that goes to the CFO. So it's across the board, and it's really easy to get. And it's free, which is not much in the state of New Jersey at this point.
I'm good at that. And I know, I've been to a few seminars, your job's hard. There's a lot of rules.
Yeah, there's
A lot of rules.
I have personally seen Margaret in action with her, with vendors and contractors, working with them and helping them and you know, allowing them to come in and sit down, and she does a great job with that, and I encourage the contractors to come in and also see Margaret, so, you know, if they have a question, they can find out the right answer. And if she doesn't know it, I know she'll go find it for them.
We've all wanted our local contractors to get more work, and when we brought this up, Margaret was way ahead of us. She had already reached out, she's already communicated to them, she's pleaded and encouraged, sent out letters to make sure to get the word out. And there's a lot of these requirements are things that some of our local folks just don't want to do. They just don't want to go out and get the bond, they don't want to pay union scale. So I think we've really done the best we could, and we can continue to encourage our local contractors to bid on our work.
Are there any questions from people out there? Okay, thank you, Mark.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary, again. And we move down now to council operating budget. And that is we set aside money each year inside council for various projects. Last year we got the GPS bracelets, and we have a couple ideas this year, which we're going to talk about right now. But we made a contribution, and Tom would like to talk about it. I think it's important to all of us.
This one, I think we should also try to make it a yearly one. The school hosts a after prom party. Takes the kids that go to prom instead of them going elsewhere after prom. They have a function that everyone's donates different various objects. The juniors, seniors, whoever's going to the high school prom, and they keep them there till about 5:30 in the morning. Then they are free to go home. They asked council this year to donate $500. They're a little bit low on money. We did it. But this is the type of thing that we need to do in this township. It's a recreation almost thing, but it's outside the township. It's for the good of the community. Instead of kids going out and drinking or doing anything, they're kept in wholesome fun at the school. They're chaperoned. The people do a wonderful job. There's a lot of volunteers that are into this. But it does cost some money for some of the events and some of the things. I know I've been donating for a while, all kinds of water and food, but there are some things that just cost a little bit of money, and this is the type of thing the council should be supporting. Good, wholesome fun for youth or whatever age group. If there's another group that needs something like that, that's what we have this operating budget for.
Are you all right with that one?
You know, I actually went to the prom. I was my wife's date and was chaperone. The kids were very well behaved, very well. It was a very nice event.
I've actually participated in after prom as a parent and also as a volunteer to help out. The after prom is a wonderful operation that allows the kids to go somewhere after prom, not get in trouble. There's a lot of opportunities at the after prom for kids to get a gift, to get a, I think there was one, there was a insurance for a year on their motor vehicle. I mean, there's the businesses in the township really provide for this opportunity for the kids, and I think it's a good. We want to continue working that program, and I think it's a good thing we're doing.
Doris, you all right?
Our solicitor's boy, I think, just enjoyed the benefits of the after prom. And you want to testify?
Yeah, he went there, he had a good time. He didn't get home till about 6 o'clock in the morning, but
He knew where he
said
was.
he had a great time. And prom night has been traditionally one of the most dangerous nights of the year for a kid. And to replace that with what you're doing here is just couldn't be a better thing. Because you're dealing with young people who for the first time are drinking alcohol, generally don't know how to handle it, and they can find out under the most dangerous of circumstances. And we've replaced that with something like this, and I don't think you could give enough support to something like that.
Okay.
And on top of doing all this good, they loved it.
Yep. It's,
I think better be after graduation party at the school.
Well, the reason, we're real careful with this. I mean, there isn't a week goes by that we don't get a request for a donation in here. And they're heartbreaking, but we can't give it. That's not why we're up here. This one's a little different. It involves the safety of our youth. So, Tom and the rest of the council, I think there's a consensus here. There's something that we really wanted to do. But it's a one-shot deal in that respect, simply because of the fact that it's our kids, our town, and we're on board with that. Now, the second item involves something that I asked our deputy mayor to take a hard look at. We had received an email from Jack Fichter, formerly with the Herald. And, we could start with a couple different stories about why we need his services, but I'll turn it over to the deputy, and if he wants to speak for a minute. I don't want to steal his thunder. I'll let him have it.
Well, you asked us to look at this, and it was occasioned by a very well-respected journalist who has come to us and said, there's a lot of great stories in Lower Township, and if you tell more of them will get out. And I couldn't agree more. And these stories come in 3 categories as we look at them. First of all, we have a lot of heroes, unsung heroes, people that need to be recognized. We saw some of them here tonight with our fire. Also in the police force, and the list goes on. In the veteran community, tremendous heroes that we need to tell their story so that we can set an example to our community to look up to. We need heroes in our community. We need role models for our young people to look at, and we need to get the word out about those things, and communicating better on that level is a good thing. Secondly, our community needs information. We have a website, but there's other ways in which we can get out information. We have a newsletter, but not very many people get it. And not everybody comes to council meetings where we try to get the information out. So I think we need to work harder at communicating with our residents about the many different programs that are going on here in Lower Township. And thirdly, we want to get the word out to our visitors and people that are coming down to this region that we've got some attractions here in Lower Township. We've seen situations where people don't realize how much is here, and what they think is Cape May is really Lower Township. We heard some of that tonight. So we could do better at letting folks know the wonderful treasures that we have here in Lower Township. Let me give you an example. Just give me one of many examples. I mean, there's so many things you could bring up, but I think it was over a year ago, in terms of economic development, the council decided to set up a revolving loan program. And that's something that we need to get out to the community, to businesses, let them know that this is even available. Some of our businesses found out about it, took advantage of it, and let me give you an example. Snippers, maybe you've noticed the renovation that's taken place at one of our businesses here next to Hayes Hardware, which is a hair salon, and I think you can get a massage there, although I've never seen the mayor get one there. You will. But they took advantage of this revolving loan program, and just this past weekend, they had a ribbon cutting ceremony. Several of us were there. About 25 people came out to recognize the opening of a facility that was made possible by this revolving loan program. And as a condition of getting this program, they had to commit to hiring new people. I think they had to commit up to maybe six jobs were helped to be sustained as a result of this revolving loan program. Well, this is an example of the kind of thing that we want to, A, get out that this program is available, B, let people know that it's working, that this kind of activity is coming to fruition. So I'm sure you could give many other examples, Mayor, but as we look at this, given that Jack Victor is an expert in this, he knows all the different outlets here in the community, and I think if we have a regular process of capturing the important things that we have to talk about, committing them, scribing them, so to speak, and then getting them out on the different channels, that we'll do a better job of communicating what's going on in our township.
I mean, let's be honest about it. It's no secret that the print media has been shrinking. I mean, there was a time just a couple of years ago, there'd be 4 reporters here. At last meeting we had 1. And, unfortunately, it seems like a lot of the perception of the town comes from the spout off. I mean, give me a break. How do you reach people? And we also have, and I was hoping to get old enough to stay away from it, but the new social media that's out there now, which is the driving force behind people's knowledge of what's going on in their lives, the Facebook. And it's one of the items that, let me give you some nuts and bolts about what we're going to do with a PIO, Public Information Officer. Write and post township news to website, create Facebook page for Lower Township and post news, issue press releases, create positive media, and it goes on and on. Disseminate information to residents via website, monitor news stories, attend council meetings, assist manager to disseminate information during emergencies, and many others. And this will be a shared contract. We met with Jack Victor with the MUA. We're going to bear 3/4 of it. They'll take 1/4, and our cost will be about $7,000 between now and the end of the year. And the MUA will pick up the other $2,500 or so in that course of that. And it's a trial basis between now and the end of the year. I look at this as something that we've needed a long time. We need somebody to get the information out to our people. We need to get it out in a positive way. I see it as part economic development. I see it as informational for sure. And I have like a ton of things I'd like to see out there. I mean, even today, picking up the paper, and we know, those of us who've been coming to the meetings, and you see the headline here that says South Jersey losing war against heroin. I don't know how many people saw that. And we're mentioned in there. Did anybody know that this council has been at the lead in that fight down here? I mean, people who've attended the last 5 or 6 meetings know. They know to what extent we have gone to try and confront this problem head on, but you wouldn't know that if you read that. And we need to get information out, because what do our residents see? They see this, Unless they watch TV, how do they know? So I see it as part of an overall mission of quality of life and making people understand, yes, we are working towards this. How many different places did Norris and I say we've been? We've been to the schools about this problem, you know, the drug problem. We've been to the governor's office. We've been to the prosecutor's office. We've been everywhere to make sure people understand the severity of this problem down here. But you wouldn't know it by this. The quote is in there that it's impacted lower and middle townships in Cape May County. So we need to get somebody who's going to sit back and we can take, and he can put out these kinds of releases, which are not his, they will belong to the township. I think that under certain circumstances, I could do some of those. I don't have time. I don't have time. I've never had a part-time job like this. I mean, it just is, you know, it eats my, you know, and I will not give up my nap. All right? But it just is, and somebody from the outside who's sitting there can see it maybe even better than we can. So I'm asking council to do this on a trial basis between now and the end of the year using our OEM. And like I told, Jack's going to reach out. He's reached out to the MUA and he's got them on board. Can he get some other areas involved, or can he create a full-time position out of this using all the different other entities? I should say full-time employment, not a full-time position, because that's probably not going to happen here. What we have is the ability for him to give us 1 or 2 days a week, and then he has to go to the other places. But that's what I'm asking council to take a look at. I think it all works. The manager, you're with it, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so council, we move forward. I'd like to have a consensus on it, and at the next meeting, we'll put it on for you know, a resolution to hire him.
I just don't want to take away. The manager has done a wonderful job in getting information out. The rest of the township employees, different information going out. But this is from a different angle. I see the importance of it. A PIO comes from the ICS system, incident command, and it's highly important to get this stuff out. And people just, how many familiar faces are here almost every week? I can just point them out. And it's the same people. We need to get the information out to different people. I'm willing to give Jack a try because it's something that needs to be done. I've discussed with a couple other people at different times, but we have to do something to get our news out. This is a wonderful place.
You're okay. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Jim. Glenn, you all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Norris? Yes, sir. Okay, we move on. Down to the consent agenda. Council comments. Tom, I think you have.
Moving resolution 2013-125 to the regular agenda.
Anybody else on council have any comments or questions? Okay. Open up to public comments on the consent agenda only. Hold on, there's a gentleman coming up here.
I'm just here to deliver a license.
Okay, the clerk can take that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They went to,
I got your settlement. Thank you. You're done. You're legal.
Midnight.
Number one.
Yes, John, you wish to address council.
John Skronsky, 607 Arctic Avenue. I didn't get a chance to check on the internet, but on the consent agenda, 130 through 134.
Yes.
Could you tell me what that's about, please?
That's actually, you would call it almost boilerplate. It's open up accounts, and we had to put the resolution, even though we've had the accounts. Is that correct, Jewel? And we had to do this for the benefit of the state. And it's nothing, like for instance, you take for instance a dedicated rider for animal control fees. That would be a separate bank account that we could put money in that came from enforcement, correct?
Line item.
Line items, and we could put the money in there. They're all different bank accounts that we put money for that in there. Donations for public events. Well, we don't keep it in the drawer. We need to have a bank account where we can put that in and not commingle it, where it's separate. And that's just notifying the state, correct? That we have done this. That's all it is.
It's something you can't put in the budget as
Yeah.
coming, definitely coming.
Can't mingle it.
How much it's going to be.
Right.
So.
Okay, thanks.
Does anybody else wish to address council?
That was my question.
Okay, we'll close the public portion. Ed,
Don't look, that's all right, go ahead.
if you want to come up, come up.
Yes, just to expand on, Ed Butler from those, just to expand on John when he just asked the question what you explained. I could see that for most of those requests, except for the tax map. Would you explain what the tax map means as far as?
When we have people that come before, and we have to make changes at the boards, and we charge them to help change their request before the board requires a change in the tax map.
You're saying like the planning board or
The
zoning
zoning,
board?
yes, that fund is dedicated then to help reduce the overall cost when the time comes for us to change the map.
Fine, that was my question on that, and just wanted to see what is that account, because each one of these costs will probably be changing over the next year or two.
Right.
Each one of these costs, when it comes in, it'll be changing in each account. You don't know what projection.
You don't know, no, like Tom said, it depends, you don't know how much money you're gonna get, but you can't commingle funds.
Yeah, that's
You
fine.
can't have all the funds streaming into one account like that, you gotta have a separate account.
So each one's earmarked for each different
Right.
account, one of these things.
Okay.
Fine, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Close the public portion. Do I have a motion to approve?
The membership
Go
application
ahead. All right, technicalities.
for the New Jersey Firemen's Associations for John Mateo and Ryan Foster. Approval of minutes, April 15th, 2013. Resolution 2013-126 through 2013-140.
Now, can I have a motion?
Motion to approve as read.
Second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember Douglas?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
Resolution 2013-125, payment of vouchers in the amount of $4,229,575.07.
Okay, is there any council comments on this? Open up the public comments. Close the public portion. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
No, go ahead, go
Or was it
ahead.
you?
Go ahead.
Okay, Councilmember Conrad?
Abstain.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember Douglas?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes. Now we get into administrative reports. Any comments, questions there? If not, council comments. Councilman Conrad?
We had a wonderful Arbor Day event. The mayor was there speaking. Behind here, they dedicated a new tree. It was beautiful to see the children there and everything. Friday, we completed a drill in this township, multi-agency to prepare for anything that happens to save the public. I think it went very well overall. Entitlement. Lots of acknowledgements to the parents and everything, and that might have been helped with the PIO also. Even though the parents were notified several times by letter, still some were surprised we were having a drill, even though it was in the paper and on the website. And that might have been nice for PIO to be there to actually write a story, come to think of it. Other than that, Mr. Neville?
I just want to know when spring's going to get here. Let's go wear a turtleneck. Good job, Margaret.
Well done.
I'm good.
What do you got?
So one of the accounts that we voted to open was the Friends of Lower Township, which is a program that we've talked about a couple sessions ago. But I'm glad we're going to have a public information officer now that will help us get the word out. What we're doing here is inviting businesses and individuals in the township to donate funds to help underwrite all of the recreational programs, many of the recreational programs, especially the fireworks that we do. So we count on raising money in order to meet some of these obligations in the recreation department. And the way we're going to do that this year is to invite businesses to become friends of Lower Township. And what this means is if you become a friend of Lower Township, we're going to sing your praises throughout the year. It's not going to be a one-shot deal. We're going to be looking for many ways to say thank you to the folks that help underwrite our great recreation programs. And one of those ways is going to be asking the manager to put when you send a robocall out to let everyone know we've got fireworks, we're going to say thank you. When we send out bills to our residents, we're going to say thank you. We're going to look for reasons to take out ads in the paper, in the Star and Wave, and say thank you. We're going to want to do it in every way we can think. And this way, a business can look at this as kind of a way to promote themselves here in the community as being a friend of Lower Township. So this program, we're looking to raise close to $40,000 is what we're looking to target. And as soon as we unveiled this, there's John in the back. Now, he doesn't like to be acknowledged, but he was the first person to step forward and say, I'll become a gold sponsor for this program, which means he sees a business benefit to give a donation of $2,500 to Lower Township to help underwrite the recreational programs. And then we're going to be saying thank you to Geisis Market throughout the year, starting tonight. What's on sale, John? And so each session, as we get new businesses that help underwrite our programs in this generous way, we're going to be saying thank you. Okay. Well done. We have a new reporter here who's hiding behind her little iPad. Is that what these things are called? I told you I was hoping to get paid. Kirby, would you turn around and say hi to the folks for us?
Hello.
And she told me if I did that, she would say nice things about me in the paper. That be kind to her so she doesn't run out of here screaming like the last half dozen did.
The Herald.
The Herald. She's a newly. Kirby, what's your last name again?
Reed.
Kirby Reed from the Herald. So, and she's studiously. Of course, she's sitting there next to Chris South. We were not going to forget to acknowledge that he attends here. You're doing a good job there. All right, so we do have a few announcements. Escape the Cape Triathlon. Don't forget that. That's June 2nd on the Bayfront. We're really excited about that. That's going to be a fantastic township day. And, you know, the roads will be closed. Well, I guess at the next meeting we probably will have something at the work session that really lays out what's going to happen that day. But this is huge. This is a big day, and we're really looking forward to it. The police, again, they want you to report suspicious activity. Hear it, see it, report it. Police Department, 886-2711. Ferry, they're continuing their 30% off for local residents. So, you know, take a ferry ride. Don't forget to come back during the week. 30% off. No sales. Forget that. Sugar. Okay, now we had a health fair. When was that? 2 weeks ago? A week and a half ago. It was incredible out there. Genesis Healthcare, and we're gonna get them in for a certificate. But it was fantastic. It was well put out there. I guess it was really, people went out of their way to make sure that the public knew about it. And we had a huge crowd over at the rec center. And what's great about that is not only that Genesis goes through all the effort to do this and help our residents, but that our residents got helped. You know, there's that target area of people that do not have health care that a lot of people take for granted. But these people that showed up, a lot of them, they don't have it. So it was really, that it would probably, I don't know what the final count was, but my guess was there was more there this time than the 2 that we had last year combined. It was just that they had to go back and get more things. They had run out of the freebies. It didn't help that the manager was dragging them out the door. But
We got a lot of pens.
A lot of pens. We're going to save money next year one way or the other. Sugar. With that being said, we will call to the public now. If you have a question, feel free. Mr. Long, then Steve.
Good evening. My name is Fred Long from Cold Spring. I'd like to ask council to pass a resolution. It concerns the need for an action by the state of New Jersey to continue funding a successful program which New Jersey voters have funded continuously for 30 years. The New Jersey Green Acres program. This program's preserved over 650,000 acres of land and supported more than 1,100 park projects. In Lower Township, Green Acres funds have been involved with Millman Field, Bennett Boggs, Cold Spring Village, Bennett's Crossing, Mitnick Field, as well as 180 additional parcels of land. The most recent funding act for this program, the Green Acres program, as of the end of 2012, has been fully allocated. In early February, the New Jersey State Senate Environment Committee began reviewing various proposals to achieve a long-term sustained funding source for this preservation program. This effort needs our support. To that end, the New Jersey League of Municipalities has prepared this suggested short resolution for municipalities to provide the support necessary to move this issue. It's brief. Resolution supporting sustainable state funding for preservation and stewardship of open space, parks, farmland, and historic sites in New Jersey. Whereas New Jersey has a long and successful history of preserving open space, parks, farmland, and historic sites, and whereas the Green Acres program has helped preserve over 650,000, I mentioned that before, whereas all remaining funds for these programs under the Green Acres, water supply and floodplain protection, farmland, and historic preservation bond act of 2009 were fully allocated by the end of 2012, whereas municipalities across the Garden State have been direct beneficiaries of and partners to these critical state preservation programs, and whereas substantial unmet needs remain for additional land and water protection, park development, and farmland and historic preservation for the health and welfare of all of our communities and residents, and whereas it is imperative that a sustainable state funding source be established in order to sustain open space, farmland, and historic preservation programs beyond the 2009 Bond Act. Now therefore be it resolved that the Township of Lower hereby expresses support for the establishment of a sustainable state funding source for these purposes. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be transmitted to the New Jersey State League of Municipalities, our state senator and assembly representatives, the members of the Senate Environment and Energy Committee, the Assembly Environment and Solid Waste Committee, the Commissioner of the Department of Environmental Protection, the New Jersey Secretary of Agriculture, and the Governor of the State of New Jersey. I made copies of this resolution, which I'll...
Is there an assembly bill on that? I missed that. Is there a number on it? Or?
The Senate committee is considering different bills or different ways to achieve the sustainable source at the moment.
Okay.
And so the support needed to encourage them to come up with that answer.
Right. Well, I don't know how council feels about it. We'll put it on for the next meeting. Maybe we can get the information from the league and hand it out, or but you know, I can't promise you we'll support it, but I promise you we'll look at it. If council's okay with that, we'll just take a good look at it. Yeah, and we'll see. I may have a few myself. Is that in reference to this, Janet?
You bet.
Okay, come on up, and is this a point counterpoint?
You got it.
All right, well, keep it brief.
Janet Pitts from Wells. This is impromptu. Sorry, I didn't know it was going to come up. So just off the top of my head, I'm totally opposed to this. But the good thing is New Jersey doesn't need these bills to do a dedicated source of funding for open space because we have it. Every county in New Jersey does an open space tax for all the residents. And over 267 municipalities also due an open space tax. Cumulatively, that's over $330 million a year the state of New Jersey collects from the taxpayers for open space. And now the Garden State Preservation Trust, which was Christy Whitman's 10-year program, we are still paying for that, even though we spent all the money. We are paying for that to the year 2029. These dedicated sources of funding will make us pay for them to the year 2044. I'm not real thrilled about having my grandparents having paid for open space in 1968, my parents, myself, my children, and my grandchildren to 2044. Additionally, I'll remind you, we did a bond last year of, I believe, $750 million to do work on our colleges, infrastructure for our colleges, which we will be paying for many years. New Jersey has a serious debt problem. We can't afford it. But like I said, the good news is, hey, we're still going to do it. Even if we don't do the dedicated source of funding, which is either water, a $400 million ballot question. What was the other one? There's three of them. Water, I think gas, and no, I lied. It's a tax, taking part of the sales tax, water surcharge, or a $400 million bond. We don't need it. I think you all remember that our county made a decision that in this county we have preserved approximately 63% of Cape May County, and we've done a very good job, and now we're moving on to other things like our promenade, hopefully, and recreation. So like I said, they're not out of money, it's just being localized. The county does open space, and many municipalities do, and I don't want to go in debt till 2044 to pay for this. Pay the pensions to our employees instead, okay?
Did you practice this?
Mayor, I was just going to say, if that's impromptu, I'd like to see her when she's organized.
I do look, I have to be honest, I do look at the New Jersey League of Municipalities, and quite frankly, a lot of times I wonder what planet they're on, because I am like directly opposite on so many things that they talk about. So I don't know where they get that, but they're not paying the bills. So.
I go up against them frequently, but I will be in touch with them. I want to see what they have to say.
Just keep in mind that this is 2044 to pay this off, which we're already paying till 2029 for the money we've already spent. Okay.
Thank you. This late, oh, wait a second, Steve, you were up next. Yeah. Steve Sheff had his hand up first.
Mayor and Council, both Matty Eckert and I want to thank you, each of you, very much. We attended the New Jersey State HMFA staff meeting on April 25th, the same day as the health fair. Mr. Keelan, as well as the entire HMFA board, were overwhelmed by your certificate of recognition of Jerry. And he's forever grateful. His replacement, Robert Huther, will be the director of the single-family division of HMFA, and he offers his full support and cooperation, especially those related to the big job that we're doing now as a result of our expansion of the water. Press being needed, nobody could it seems that if somebody gets a hangnail in another municipality whose population is about 1/5 of ours, it makes the front page of the paper.
I wonder which municipality.
I'm not mentioning any names, sorry. But I was pleased to see Channel 40, as well as Mr. Cloud's organization and Mr. Fichter at our MUA meeting last Monday night. In case you haven't heard or read about it yet, I hope to guide you will soon, because we announced that all of Town Bank is now eligible and to permitted to connect to the water supply. That's roughly 2,200 homes out of the 4,700 and some in the entire expansion areas. It's just a wonderful thing, and Mr. Herther would like to come down during a work day, not during the council meeting, because he lives like an hour and a half above Trenton. And by the time he got here and by the time we get him home, it would be time to go to work. But he would like to come down. Mr. Keelan would like to come back just for the visit, and maybe bring a staff member or two. The purpose of the meeting would, of course, to be explain the loan program, and the extra person or persons would be here to answer individual questions of customers who have trouble filling out the loan report. So again, I want to thank you. We've been very busy, and God bless all of you.
Steve, one question. Is the MUA going to send letters out to the town bank people to let them know, or is it just?
I don't think they'll be sending them out. They were relying on the press. We're going to send a letter.
Because a lot of people just asking.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said something.
We're going to send a letter out letting them know by which date they have to be connected.
Okay, but they can go now.
Initially, no. We're hoping on the press to do it. That's where these gentlemen and now the Herald hopefully will come to light. We're talking as many homes as they have in that neighboring community. Thank you.
Mrs., I think the lady right here behind Janet, Mrs. Remeter, is it?
Yes. Hi, Mayor Beth.
Good evening.
I'd like to talk a little bit about bringing the police force back into the villas again.
Oh.
When we can talk about getting a timeline and.
The question is, I don't know if you could hear about the police station. I don't know if I've said this. This is me. It's not necessarily council, but I can't think of anything that I want more than that. I would like to wait until the summer's over and then proceed probably after that, simply because that you want to have the ability for residents. A lot of our people are summer workers and work hard during the summer, and I'd like to be able to put it before council, maybe sometime early in the fall. When you see like the headline that was in the paper today, and of course, people write headlines, so it may or it's a perception, but you have to have, and I've said this countless times, 25 years in policing, the police have to be in the neighborhood. The fact that they patrol here is not enough. They have to have their building here. It was a mistake that's had, in my estimation, a huge impact on this town, both from a financial perspective, also from a policing perspective. So that, Mrs. Remeter, we're doing everything we can with the drug problem. You've heard us talk. We have an in-house SART, we call it Substance Abuse Response Team. Tom's part of it. My Colleen Crippen, every facet of the town hall is involved. Recreation, police, code enforcement. The judge has been there. The prosecutor's been there. We've had Cape Assist, Cape Counseling. The county has been involved. We've had people from the county. And we've been to every...
I'd just like you to bring it up at the council meetings, talk about the
I
capital
do.
plan.
It has to be front stage. You have to talk about it because it's, at the end of this, it's our kids. It is our kids. And, if I have my advice this week is, for parents, check your medicine cabinets. Get those things that are not necessary, that have been there for a while, and go over to our drop-off at the police station. Get those drugs out of your house, because there is, if people that are savvy computer-wise, there's a GCADA, G-C-A-D-A, Government's Council, Alcohol Drug Awareness Award. They've been working, in my conversations with the Attorney General, they had formed a a huge committee that the governor appointed, some of the top shelf people almost a year ago.
South Jersey Initiative? Is that the one?
No, that's a funding stream that we get down here. This is Chicago Governor's Council. This was a result of me going up to, when I went to Drumthwacket, don't ask me to say anything. But the end result of that is that they should be coming out with a report about the substance, the prescription drug slide to heroin. They're supposed to have this huge report coming out, and I was told a month ago, anywhere from a month to 2 months, so it should be kind of any day. And the other one is, I'm not trying to beat the jungle for television, but there's a channel called Current, C-U-R-R-E-N-T, Current TV. It's channel 107. I defied somebody in here to tell me that they watch that channel. But if you have like the music, you'll have Current TV. Now, Current TV has 2 shows on there on a loop that show up about every week to 2 weeks. And I think it's actually on, one of them's on at 2 a.m. this morning, and it's called The Pathway to, or Gateway to Heroin. And it talks about the slide from the prescription pills into heroin, and it's mind-boggling. We put it on in town hall for our people that are part of this committee to watch. We were stunned by it. It's Current TV, and it's called The Gateway to Heroin. The other one, the other program, which I highly recommend, is called the OxyContin Express. Now that one's a little older, but it details the problems that derive from Florida. 85% at one point about 3-4 years ago of all prescriptions for painkillers were coming out of Florida. And it was the pipeline to the rest of the country for the oxycodons, the heroin synthetics is what they basically are. They buttoned it up, I understand, over the past couple of years, and now it's Georgia. They went from like 10, this showed, and any parent that's watching, watch these shows. They're an hour long, but they show how Georgia went from 10 after Florida cut off all their painkiller, their pill stores down there. They moved across to Georgia, and they went from 10 painkillers to like stores or whatever businesses to like 130 overnight, and they just shot up. And this is what happens. You get people that's part of it. It's also the fact once you get into we hope shortly to have some kind of a town meeting symposium or something, probably after the summer. We're still gathering information. But we feel it's important enough to bring to the attention, I'm saying with council's permission, the committee, I'm speaking for the committee, at the last meeting we talked about that, having some kind of a meeting perhaps in September and bringing all the experts in here to talk to you. There's no denying there's a problem, but let me make this perfectly clear, absolutely clear. If you look at the numbers, say for rehabilitation, the increase over the past 3 years, our town's less than the county average. So we may be ringing the bell, but this problem's everywhere. Like the paper says, you can't hide from this. It's in every town. We just happen to be a council and a township that's going to meet it head on. We're not going to hide this. This is our kids. I mean, what does it profit us to hide this and find out someday that we could have prevented some of these kids from getting involved with this junk by ringing the bell? I'm not a counselor, neither is anybody up here, but we can ring the bell. Okay. As far as law enforcement goes, the chief can't be better. Our police department has done yeoman work over the past 2 months. Some of the arrests they've made, they came up with this program I just read out there, see it, report it, hear it. I think we're one of only 2 towns in the county that has a drug drop-off box over there. So they're out front with this, and our police department in cooperation with the county task force has been very, very good. So I'm doing the best. I didn't bring this out into the open. We're just a group of people trying to do the best we can. But, when people ask me this, I have to, and this is why the value of reporting we have to make sure our residents know that, yes, that headline's correct. But yes, we're doing everything we can to try and help the township as far as that goes. Thank you, Mrs. Remington. Well, there's a gentleman in the back that hasn't spoken yet. Yes, sir.
Hello. Jay Young, I'm from Cape May Beach.
Yes, sir.
I started coming here last August to inquire about when the road was going to be repaved.
Yes, sir.
From S Curve to Town Bank Road.
Got good news for you.
That road hasn't been touched. The last conversation I had with you folks, you said this spring. Well, it's spring now, and the roads are even worse.
We just got the grant about 10 days ago, notified by the state, and the MUA's been notified. Do you have a time frame? I think it's like, go ahead, Mike, you take it.
Gary Douglas and Matt Eckert, the MUA, are working collaboration together on this. We just received $175,000 from the DOT grant that we applied for, the council applied for. So between that funding and the MUA's funding they have left over from some of their programs, that should be starting shortly. I know the engineer's working on he's been working with them to prepare the documents or to share with our public works people how to pave this clubhouse road. It's going to be done. It'll be done, what's this, beginning of May? I would say by the middle of June it should be done. They're working on it right now. Complete.
Done.
Paved.
Middle of June. Done.
Done. And I'm on them about every day saying and we wait.
I'm not a believer, but,
well,
okay, done, middle of June. All right, that's what, how about the rest of the Cape May Beach and Bayside Village? I know that's fresh.
you talk about the restoration of the water lines?
Yeah.
The MUA's contractor is going to come back 2 to 3 weeks, Matty told me, once they've completed this first phase, and they're going to redo those streets. We've been having nothing but phone calls about Village Drive and Fourth and all these areas. So that's going to be...
yeah, it's a mess.
It is a mess. And we've had a lot of complaints. And I passed it on to my partner with the MUA, and he assured me that the contractor's coming back and it's going to be restored. I'm only the messenger. If it was something I could do quicker, I would. But as far as Clubhouse Road, we now have the funding in place, and the funding that the MUA has, they're working with us, and that's going to be done.
Okay.
I want you to be a believer, because I am.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Janet, I think you wanted to come back up.
I just wanted to ask, as far as the drug problem in our township, are you working at all with our Lower Cape May Regional High School? I mean, are they doing a part of any kind of drug stuff that
Well, we're not going to answer for them, but we went there en masse and had a meeting with them where all of their principals were there. So any questions you would have in relationship to them, we have total cooperation with them, obviously. The specifics we'll leave up to them. Anything they need, we do. Any suggestions they have, we're there for them. They're our kids. I mean, it's not they don't belong to school; they belong to our residents. We're fighting that fight with them.
I'm just because they have the opportunity to have them like a captive audience to do programs.
Yes, they do. They have things in the works, but you need to reach out to them if anybody wishes to talk with them, because they're the separate authority, and I don't want to speak for them.
Okay.
Thank you. Somebody else had their hands up. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Council. John Walker, 116 West Pacific Avenue, Village, New Jersey. I come here not only as a resident of Lower Township, but also representing, I'm the Cape May County Disabled American Veterans Commander, Chapter 44. Two serious incidences that we've had in the past month, and it really hits home, and it hits here in Lower Township, because those that don't know, we have a van that takes people, veterans, to and from Vineland, Philadelphia, and Ellesmere, Delaware. We do it 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and it's all volunteer drivers. 90% of our volunteer drivers are all Lower Township residents. A couple weeks ago, one of the drivers was on 42 and had to swerve out of traffic because somebody cut him off, and one of the passengers on the van had a anxiety attack, suffering from PSDT, and kicked out the window, severely lacerated his leg, bleeding. Could have been a lot worse than it was. They had to rush him to the closest hospital to get him stitches. It could have been much serious and people could have died. 2 weeks after that, a driver has 3 passengers in his vehicle, gets to Ellesmere, Delaware, gets there safely, gets them into the hospital, and he collapses. And they have to omit the driver. He had an anemic problem. They had to wind up giving him 4 pints of blood. Okay? This could have happened while he was driving. The reason I'm here and the reason I'm telling you these stories, I'm asking Mr. Mayor, the council, and Lower Township to write a letter to 2 entities, one being Cape Regional Hospital and the other Atlantic Care, asking them to open the bridge to consider letting us bring these veterans to them instead of making this trip. This trip is getting harder and harder each and every day that we have to make it. And just give you an idea, that van leaves at 6 o'clock in the morning, okay? It goes to Vineland, and they have 6 to 8 passengers on the van. And it drops off 2 in Vineland, then goes to Philadelphia and drops off 2, then goes to Ellesmere, Delaware and drops off 2. Now they have to wait for the 2 in Ellesmere, then they got to go back to Philadelphia and pick up those 2, then go to Vineland and pick up those 2. These people ain't getting home till 8, 9 o'clock at night. How would you like to be treating with chemo or radiation and do that trip and take 10 hours of your day when all you want to do is get under the covers? We need help with the local hospitals.
Well, is it the hospitals? I thought it was the VA that won't
It is
pay
the VA, but we're finding out through other, we had a meeting just last Thursday with Atlantic Care. Atlantic Care is opening a $10 million cancer facility here in Cape May Courthouse. It's going to treat the 4 most serious cancers, and not only is cancer treatment, but it's going to handle radiation, chemotherapy, nutrition, consultation, all under one roof. It's going to be a fabulous and a wonderful facility. And if we can get something like this for our vets, along with, we also know that Cape Regional has 80 available beds a day sitting there. Okay? With the help, and we've been instructed if we can get the local municipalities to start writing some letters and asking for people, residents, to write letters as well, we can get something accomplished here. So that's why I'm here tonight. I'm asking for your help. We also started a Cape May County Veterans Advisory Committee, which you're aware of, Mr. Mayor. You've been involved with this. I would like to ask Lower Township if they would appoint one of your members not from council as much as Eileen. We've talked several times, and I know where she comes from about the veterans. If you could appoint her as a liaison, it would be very helpful to us. And I'd also like to ask anybody who would want to be a volunteer for that committee. Our next meeting is the 14th, which is next Tuesday, the 14th at 11 a.m. at the American Red Cross Building on Mechanic Street in Cape May Courthouse.
Can you come in one day and we'll sit down with the clerk and some people and we'll get the letters out. We'll sign them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Steve, briefly, please.
I'm going to get you one way or the other.
Your meter's running. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just heard what was said, and there's a lot more to it. As you're probably aware, it was at the request of Joe Harris, who was the former state commander of DAV, and Rich Foster, who was formerly a chief of staff of the VFW, who contacted me relative to getting that van. I wrote to Virginia Dempsey, who was then state commander,
right,
and 100% disabled, and asked her that if she wanted to really make a hit with the veterans of South Jersey, she'd have no greater opportunity than come down with the keys to a new van on the night we held the testimonial for General Mike Lennington. Gentlemen, that night she was there with the set of keys. It is a DAV van, okay? It belongs to the DAV, but keep in mind, it is licensed by the VA. Now, I have an interest far beyond just getting vans and stuff like that. But when I hear of an incident like that happening, I inquire. From what I understand, one of those two things apparently did happen. But from what I understand, and Ellesmere I think would confirm it, that person's not allowed to ride in a van again because it was not done because of somebody getting, you know, a little dizzy or something. But apparently he's not allowed to ride it again. So please keep in mind, we do have a hospital coordinator, statewide hospital coordinator in our municipality working for the DAV, and that's Spiro Spropoulos. Okay? So anything you have to do with dealing with hospitals, I strongly suggest you would include him. Thank you.
Is there any other comments for council? Close it. Go ahead. You better be quick at this time. I don't mean at this time of the night.
All you guys, now I put all your names in for this triathlete. All you guys.
I'll save my check then. I'll just have to mail it in.
Okay. My name's Frank Sirocco, and I'm from the Villas. What I'd like to ask you is there anything that you can possibly do to improve our sound system or our cameras and what have you?
I've heard about that.
People have been saying, and I'm sure you've heard, that when they try to watch the council meetings on TV,
they can't hear it.
They can't hear it, and whatever they do hear is garbled.
Yeah.
Plus, the picture or the video part of it is blurred. And so, you know, is there anything that you could possibly do?
Yeah, we will look at it. Certainly, we didn't realize it until just the other day. I was told. Michael?
Well, to be frank, we have adjusted the volume so you can hear that nice and clear now, because we had that complaint.
Loud enough is one thing, but to get rid of it sounding garbled is another.
Well, I'm not sure about the garble because I've watched a few of the shows and it comes across clear. It may be an issue on the other end over at the school where it's dispatched to the cable TV. I'm not sure, but let me go fast forward that there's future plans possibly if this police station is voted to move forward with council. This room will be a retrofit to bring the court back here, and at that time money will be spent to have permanent audiovisual cameras with good quality like a regular normal channel 6 or one of those channels. And I don't want to spend taxpayers' money or propose it to council this time, and just so we're doing the best we can to get through until council decides where we're going to go. If council decides in the future we're not moving forward with the police department, then I will make a request to council that we upgrade. But for now, I think Eileen does a great job with the camera, and we're trying to do the best we can.
With Eileen's work, Eileen does a good job.
Are there any other questions for council? Close the public portion.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.